Friday night, I started not feeling good. Saturday I was sick. Sunday I was sick. Monday I was sick. Yesterday I was starting to feel better. But yeah. Uh-oh, live's cutting out. Oh, it's because, hang on. That should fix it. Okay. That should fix it now. We should be all good. So I think it's because it does not, because I the dual streaming, I don't think my phone likes it. So the bandwidth gets cut because I'm streaming from my computer and I'm streaming from my phone. How was D&D? So it ended up getting canceled. So our DM is a long distance trucker. And so every once in a while, like, he'll get a last minute call for a job. And so then he can't DM for us. So Friday he got a call and he was not home to run our D&D campaign. So we did not get to play on Friday as originally intended. So yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, because we didn't get to play. But that's kind of why I was thinking of coming up with like the other campaign that I talked about today. The like random extra campaign with toys. That way so like if people want to play and our DM isn't available, then we can still play. So we have like kind of like a backup funsies game to do. So yeah, I kind of like I've worked it out. So I would DM it, which not ideal because I'm not huge on DMing myself. But I've done it before. I'm just not a big fan of DMing. I prefer playing, if I'm honest. But yeah, I looked at yeah, like little one shot. So the campaign that I came up with was Everybody's a Toy. And like I said, I was messing around with the stat blocks, like how to like just easily translate it one-to-one kind of a thing to make it easier for creating characters. But every single session would be a different board game. So like we'd all have our characters, and so like we'd have a session where we're playing Clue. Not the characters are playing Clue, but like the general idea is Clue or Candyland, and kind of like being a little more of a like puzzle oriented campaign instead of like combat driven. I mean, there would be combat and everything like that, but instead of being a combat driven, I mean, I definitely am gonna do it online. It's not gonna be in person, so I am looking for a group to get together. I have to write it. That's the thing. I kind of want to make it like a big overarching story, so that like if we get really into it and it's really fun, like it can be a huge long story like campaign. But mainly, it's meant to be like filler for when I don't have my normal D&D. Oh, Belle, God bless Dagobah, für Dagobah und Maria. Yeah. And I was gonna think like, and doing like some like, I don't know how we would do Settlers of Catan, but I'd try and figure out a way to make like Settlers of Catan a session, and Railway Empire, or not Railway Empire, Ticket to Ride, or it does sound like a lot of work. I mean, the DMing is in general a lot of work, so that's why I'm torn between whether or not I can do it. It's time consuming to DM. But I'm just starting to throw around some ideas at the moment. And maybe make it like a guest DM kind of a thing. Where like it's, you know, I DM the overarching story and stuff like that, but then we bring in a guest DM and it'll be like their favorite board game. They create a entire one shot around their favorite board game, and somebody else makes one of their favorite board game. I mean, I think Munchkin, like the game Munchkin, is a little too on the nose. But yeah, it's definitely an idea that I was throwing around today because I thought it would be fun. I know how to name all. I figured out how to name all my NPCs. How to you know, they'll all be named after medications. So we'll have a Lamictal character and what is lisdexamphetamine or whatever it's called. My Vyvanse. Yeah. So there was just that's what I've been playing with. I thought it would be fun. You know, I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere. We'll see. So, like I said, that's where I'm at for that one. I'm gonna start playing around with some ideas. But if people want to play, like if that's something that interests you, what does it mean for something to be too on the nose? Literal. It's too literal. So, like if Belle, sorry, I have YouTube. I got a YouTube comment about what does too on the nose means. So if D&D is obviously is an adventuring game, tabletop role playing game. Munchkin is a card game version of Dungeons and Dragons. So that's what I mean. It's like it's too on the nose. So if I want it, like I'm trying to use board games like Candyland or Checkers or something like that as a dungeon, basically in Dungeons and Dragons, Munchkin would be a little too like literal. Munchkin is classic Dungeons and it's just like a simplified version of classic Dungeons and Dragons. So, yeah, that's what it too on the nose means, something that's too literal. Ooh, Betrayal at the House on the Hill. Oh yeah, that would be a fun one. Or Pandemic. That would be another one. But designing those as like puzzles for the players more challenging. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm tossing it around. Like I'm starting very basic, where I was like, I was starting with very basic games. So I was like thinking of campaigns for like Candyland, or Mousetrap, or Clue, 13 Dead End Drive. Because I'm a millennial, Mall Madness. There's a Scooby-Doo Betrayal? I did not know this. Wait. Amazon. I know, Scamazon. I'm sorry. Amazon. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo Betrayal. I did not know that they... Oh. Add to cart. That is so awesome. I love it. Avalon Hill. There's a Pennywise expansion? Say what? Betrayal at Baldur's Gate? Ooh! This sounds like fun. Alright. I'm adding these to cart. But yeah, I was trying to think of some more like classic games. Like even like Gator Golf or Mr. Bucket. I was thinking of those games too. Like really trying to come up with a way to make it Dungeons and Dragons but board games. And toys. So everybody's a toy. Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. I was having fun with it. I really want to make a really fun, just everything is just really, it's a really relaxed, really fun campaign idea. It's not, there's no seriousness. Nobody gets super tragic backstories. Thank you, Kuma. No super tragic backstories. No awful violence. There may or may not even be a big bad evil guy. I definitely love the twist ending of the big bad evil guy was actually in your party the whole time. That appeals to me, but I don't think I really want to tell that. there are D&D stories that I would love to tell. Like, if with my ability of being a storyteller, I would love to do it. But my ability to focus and actually, like, write out a whole campaign is the challenging bit. Like, I have a whole vampire campaign that would be fun. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. If it's something that you think you might be interested in, let me know. Pretty Pretty Princess, there's another one. Pretty Pretty Princess would be a really fun one to do. I don't know how I would make that into a dungeon, but I would be very on board with making Pretty Pretty Princess into a dungeon. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, yeah, all the Ravensburger games are really cool, but they are also very complicated. And yes, those would be more complicated dungeons, and those might take, like, more than one session. But I'm thinking, like, Candyland as a dungeon. Chutes and Ladders. Not Monopoly. I don't want to play Monopoly. Not Life, either. Those take way too long. Excuse me. Those take way too long. So, like, I want to go with, like, classic kids games. Uno. Like, make Uno a game. Yeah. I'm throwing around some really, like, fun game ideas for it. So, that's where I'm at for that. Gold Squad exiting hyperspace. Hi, Gold Squad. All right, are we ready to read? So, Pagemaster D&D? No. So if you watched the video that I posted today, I want to do a D&D campaign where all of the characters are toys and all of the dungeons kind of situations. Like, I don't know if it would be a one-shot or, like, it would just be, like, a string of one-shots with, like, guest DMs coming in. And maybe I create the overarching story kind of a thing. But, like, the idea would be that every single session would be a different board game. So, like, we'd make... Somehow I'd turn Candyland into a dungeon kind of a thing. And that's what I mean, like, Tony K, like, I'm talking about, like, everybody gets to be, like, their favorite toy. So, like, me, if I was playing, but I'm going to end up being the DM, if I was the DM, like, I would be an American Girl doll, right? Liar's Dice would be another fun one. Even things like poker, like, just, I was trying to, like, come up with ways that, like, we could turn these fun little games into, like, full-on sessions of D&D. But... like I said, I gotta play with it more. Like, this is just, like, this is the beginnings of an idea. It's the beginnings of the idea, but I feel like this would be a lot of fun in the long run. Like, I feel like this will be, like, a really fun thing to play as off sessions. So, anyway, we are reading Mall Lockdown as part of our Legends timeline. We are on chapter 9. Content warning, if you are a youngin or do not like violence. Oh, I can't get the music right. So first of all, I found out 2 things. One, if I play Spotify on the Tube or TikTok, I can get permanently banned from playing Spotify. So I stopped playing Spotify. So I'm a little nervous about that. Yes, the Statue of Liberty is actually French. And yes, I canceled. And Spotify also supports some things that I am not in line with. So I canceled Spotify. Like, I killed my Spotify. Like, I have no Spotify now. Like, there is no Spotify. So I can, like, put on some, like, ambient music via the Tube. Like, There we go. I don't know. Can you guys hear that? Is that okay? There we go. I just hope there aren't a lot of commercial breaks in it. Okay. So, yeah, I know it's kind of mellow for what we're gonna do, but anyway. So, again, this is my disclaimer. So this is my disclaimer for Mall Lockdown. It does get a little graphic at times. We're not talking like spicy graphic, so it's not like we're gonna get in trouble or anything like that. But like, it be violent, okay? The goose be violent. Is tomorrow Friday? Because I think I'm gonna get a little loosey goosey, but more loose than the goose, because the goose be violent. This book is a little violent, so just a heads up, warning, trigger warning. If you don't more like the spicy thing. Ellie! Where have you been? I think Ellie scrolled on by. Horror lo-fi? Is that a thing? There's no such thing as horror lo-fi. Anyway, so just as a side note, just to warn you, that it does occasionally get a little graphic, okay? Just saying. It's Maul. Maul is not a very peacefully person. Like, he... I know, there's only 5 weeks to GalaxyCon. I still don't have my ticket. I probably won't even be able to get in now. I was gonna go, I don't know if the problem is, I don't know if the Mercs are going or the Rebel Legion is going, and I only really go with them. I'm not gonna go by myself necessarily. Hopefully. If I do go, it might only be one day, just because if Aw, thank you for the roses, Tony! It depends. Cause I can't, unless I'm going all 4 days. Like, I can't afford to go all 4 days unless I'm helping out at tables. So we'll see. Anyway, so that's my disclaimer for Mall Lockdown. Just as a side note, just to let y'all know. Anyway, Chapter 9, Strap Hanger. Cutting sideways along the well-lit expanse of the prison's central gallery, Maul glanced up at the ventilation shafts that ran overhead, each one stenciled with call signs and architectural designations. A series of worn letters were faintly visible overhead, VC09AMA. He kept walking, fingertips tracing the beads of condensation from the walls, feeling it grow colder to the touch. The ceiling was slipping downward, the walls closing in as he made his way forward. Air filtration systems, atmospheric reprocessing units with fans the size of starship turbines, roared out their incessant threnody overhead. But the noise wasn't enough to block out the sound of the prison's gallery behind him. In between slabs of machinery, black lenses gleamed, following his every step. When the walkway ended in a T, he turned right, passed the first corridor, and checked the shaft above him. VC11AAR. Closer, then. The big fans had gone quieter, and now Maul could hear his own footsteps echoing down the passageway. He stopped and sniffed the air, smelling stale water and engine lubricant. The cameras would still be watching him here, of course. That didn't matter. If the prison administrative staff wanted to stop him, they could have shut down the concourse in front of him at any time. He moved on, checking the ventilation markings every few meters now. When he reached 11AZR, the walkway intersected with another passage. Maul stopped, turned right, and took 3 steps until he came across a series of curved steel rungs bolted onto the wall, leading up to a maintenance hatch. He froze. Behind him, in the direction from which he'd come, something was coming, making a steady pounding noise. Maul held his breath and listened. It sounded like wings. Glancing up, he saw it coming, a black shape flying straight at him down the passageway. He ducked just in time, and it brushed past his face close enough that he felt the oily, musky-smelling slickness of its black feathers against his cheek. Pivoting in midair, the thing flapped its wings, settling itself on an electrical conduit, staring down at him with black, incurious eyes. Maul looked up at it. It was a clawbird, almost half a meter high, small for its breed. Maul had seen hollows of them hunting wob wrens on Wayland, with claws like vibroblades and a serrated beak that could rip flesh like butter. But what was a mutated avian species from the Outer Rim planet doing in a prison? Still staring at him, the clawbird opened its mouth and emitted a harsh, scolding caw. It sounded like laughter. The cry rattled down the length of the corridor, and Maul scowled at the thing. It was making too much noise, and he couldn't hear anything over the din. "Get out of here," Maul told it. "Go." The bird stayed and croaked louder than ever, as if determined to betray Maul's location to anyone in the area. Bending down, he found a loose metal bolt on the floor and pitched it at the bird, sending it upward with a startled croak. It flew away down the passage. In the silence, Maul cocked his head, listening again. Now he could make out what he'd come to hear. Footsteps. Zabrak. Rapid, but not panicked. Coming faster now. Big by the sound of it, but not clumsy or uncertain. Boots. Authoritative. Maul climbed up the steel rungs towards the ceiling of the shaft, bracing his feet against an overhanging electrical switch plate. He gripped the edge of the maintenance hatch and drew himself up until he disappeared into the shadows. He kept his body absolutely rigid, every muscle locked in place, staring straight down at the intersection of the two passageways below. Directly below him, a figure emerged into view. The faint glow of equipment illuminated the helmet and face shield, the heavy broadcloth fabric of his uniform rustling as he approached. A guard. Maul found himself staring down at the top of the correction officer's helmet. From here, it was impossible to see his face. Not that it mattered. "I know you're out here," the CO said, looking from side to side. His hand was resting on his belt, not on the blaster, but on something else. A flat black console of a drop box strapped to his hip, with a glowing green display that Maul couldn't read from this angle. "Why are you looking for Zero?" Maul gripped the hatch in front of him more tightly, allowing himself one deep breath. A drop of moisture, ice cold and oily, fell from one of the overhead condenser units. It struck the top of his head, rolled down between his horns and off his scalp, and slid down the side of the face's chin. "Zero already knows you're different," CO was saying. "Heard you're an assassin. Saw you fight. You're not here by accident." Maul held absolutely still. "The way he sees it, there's only one reason that somebody like you would come out to the far corner of the galaxy and start asking for him," the guard continued. "You came here to kill him, am I right?" Maul waited. The CO had stopped looking from side to side now. His eyes were riveted to something straight ahead of him. The droplet fell from Maul's chin and hit the guard's helmet with a soft but audible plop. The CO stiffened and tilted his head back and looked straight up at Maul, the whites of his eyes reflecting yellowish red in the light spill. "I thought so," he said. "You know what? I don't even need this blaster to take care of you." He indicated the drop box strapped to his belt. "I got your numbers plugged in already, maggot. I touch this button, set off those bombs inside your chest, you're dead before you hit the floor." "Where's Zero?" Maul asked. "You're kidding, right?" His fingers flicked over the switches of the belt console, and Maul was almost positive that he hadn't yet heard the noises at the far end of the walkways. Whispers and footsteps had become steadily more audible over the past few seconds. "You actually think he'd let you get the drop on him like this?" Now the CO's entire demeanor had changed, developing an edge, losing whatever playfulness it might have had. "You've never had a chance." "I don't think so," Maul said. The distant sounds grew clearer now, the whispering no longer bothering to keep itself stealthy, the footsteps no longer muffled. Maul watched as the CO started to react. The man caught completely by surprise by what was happening, but it was already too late. A storm of stomping feet came thundering down the passage, an avalanche of noise clanging off the metal and shaking the length of the corridor from end to end. From either side of the walkway, below, the sudden roar of inmates' voices filled the closed space with howls and bellows of rage. "What?" The guard swiveled around, not sure where to look first. They hit him from both sides at once. From where he was positioned overhead, Maul had a perfect view of the carnage below. A wall of bald human inmates burst forward, the Bone Kings barreling down one end of the walkways, with the second mass of bodies, the Gravity Massive, led by Nogri Strabo, came stampeding from the opposite direction to meet their enemies head-on. The guard disappeared between them, immediately trampled underfoot. Maul waited, timing his response to an internal clock whose nuances were a matter of pure reflex. The prisoners were already screaming. In the closed space above, he heard bones snap, the brittle crunch and crackle of cartilage now crushed, bodies flattened underfoot. Now. Hanging by his legs, extending both arms just above the battle, Maul thrust both hands down into the fray. He seized the guard by his helmet strap and yanked him upward, using his helmet like a battering ram to smash open the maintenance hatch and shove the man up inside. Alarms began to beep and wail from all sides. Maul scrambled into the utility shaft alongside the guard, his hand locked around the CO's throat. "Switch those off," he ordered. "Can't," the guard panted. "It's not..." Maul pushed the guard back toward the open hatchway. "Turn them off, or I'll throw you down to them. They'll rip you to pieces in a heartbeat." "I'm telling you, I can't. Alarms have to be deactivated by central control. I swear." Maul took hold of the man's right hand, pinning it down on the chain coupling where the hatch cover fit its housing, and slammed the hatch down on it hard. The guard shrieked, his voice shattering as it reached the upper registers. "Where's Zero?" Maul asked softly in his ear. "I don't know." The guard's face had gone terribly pale, except for 2 bright spots of red high on his cheeks. Tears of pain stood out in his eyes. "Nobody knows." "How can that be? There are cameras everywhere." "Not on him. He comes and he goes. Even the guards don't see where or how he gets in and out." "Then why did the Chadrafan send me here?" "I told you. Zero thought you were here to kill him." "You tell him that I'm looking for him," Maul said. "You tell him I want a real meeting, not a setup." "He doesn't work that way." "Where's his cell?" "On level 8, cell 22, around the far corner. You have to look for it, but it's there, I swear. Now please, just let me go." Maul decoupled the hatch and let it hiss open. The guard groaned, withdrawing his fractured arm with a shuddering whimper, cradling his hand and wrist like a small dead animal dangling limply from his sleeve. Slowly, as he looked at Maul, something savage had trickled into his eyes, filling them with rage. "Inmate 11240, he said, resting his good hand on the activation stud for the dropbox. "You're as good as dead, maggot." Maul studied him. "We'll see." CO hit the button, and nothing happened. Everybody still awake? Everybody still there? Chapter 10. Skin in the game. "You spared him?" Vestos Slifer said, careful to keep his tone casual. "Why?" Neither of the Blur siblings answered him. From behind the console, Dakarai inclined slightly forward in his chair, his right forefinger still pressed tightly to the remote deactivation switch for the guard's dropbox. Siddiqui leaned down over her brother's shoulder for a better view. All 5 of the screens closest to Dakarai's workspace had been redirected to display the maintenance shaft from different angles, providing multiple views of the Zabrak and the guard whose wrist he'd just shattered. Dakarai tapped another button, keying in the initial sequence. "What's going on?" Slifer asked. "Is it?" All at once, the very air around them took on a low and sonorous hum. A time code blipped into view in the corners of all the screens, counting down from 5 minutes. Slifer heard a burst of static, and a split second later, a clarion erupted out of the framework of the space station, filling what felt like the entire world with one long, oscillating blast. Hang on, we have a question about... You donated plasma? Oh, that's kind of neat. Surprisingly, my chronic illnesses don't bar me from donating. And the vampires always want me because I'm type O. They love getting my blood. Dakarai winced. The tremors grew more violent, rhythmic, throbbing like the adrenalized heart of some colossal creature shocked into life. Ripples appeared at the surface of his coffee cup, and he reached over to steady it without taking his eyes off the screens. "What is all that?" Slifer asked. He already surmised exactly what was happening, but he'd long ago discovered the value of asking obvious questions at the right moment. He turned to Siddiqui, speaking loudly to be heard over the alarms. "What's going on?" "My brother's algorithm has selected the next 2 combatants." The warden smiled at the monitors. "We're matching them now." Inmate 11240. The Mune read as the profile appeared on screen. That's the Zabrak. Jagannath, Siddiqui said. Right. And that's why... She nodded. We'll only override a guard's authority to activate the electrostatic detonator if the inmate in question is already scheduled for a fight. She nodded at the bank of the monitors. In this case, 11240 has been selected again. Who are you pitting him against? Wait and see, Siddiqui said. I wouldn't want to ruin the surprise. Slifer glanced around at the other screens, where inmates throughout Coghive 7 were scurrying down the corridors and back to their cells for lockdown. The entire space station was shaking hard enough that he had to brace himself against the wall and wrap his slender fingers around the buttress for support. He could feel the whirring and clicking of Coghive 7's interior clockwork through the floor beneath his feet, reverberating up through his ankles and knees. Is it always this loud? He shouted. It feels like the whole space station is shaking. Only about 85% of it, Siddiqui pointed to the space just above the monitors, where a high-resolution ray tracing of the space station's layout was displaying the reconfiguration in real time. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I guess when they pit the two inmates against one another, like the whole space station is reorganizing itself so that the two cells are next to one another. That's crazy. How do they come up with this stuff, man? Slifer gazed at the rendering in fascinated silence. Numbers had always been his language of choice, data patterns his poetry, but what was happening here was equally captivating. The ray tracing showed entire wings and cell blocks changing position, pulling themselves around and reformatting the very architecture of the prison itself. And here's our new contender, Siddiqui said, pointing at the monitor in front of her. Slifer looked at what was appeared on the monitor. That's what 11240 is fighting? Siddiqui nodded. We've never matched it, she said. A couple of freelance bounty hunters brought it in from an abandoned spaceport on the Anuit system along the ice-on-trade corridor. She checked the screen. We think it's been used in a previous illegal gladiatorial fights. It's called... I know what it is, the Mune said. Siddiqui glanced at him, clearly impressed. You've seen the species before? Not exactly, Slifer told her. The IBC was briefly involved in arbitrating a former client's involvement in the black market fur trading operation in the Outer Rim. Nothing we were personally involved in, of course, but apparently poachers and big game hunters had been tracking these creatures for decades. He shook his head. Mortality rate among the poachers was often worse than the creatures themselves. You're talking about a predator 2.5 meters tall, sometimes weighing...
knows that if you're a maintenance supervisor
Commercial.
at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right...
There we go. You're talking about a predator 2.5 meters tall, sometimes weighing 200 kilograms or more, with razor-sharp teeth and claws. They're singularly vicious creatures. So you don't like the odds? Siddiqui asked. That thing against the Zabrak? The Mune blinked. It hardly seems fair. You haven't seen 11240 in a fight. Respectfully, Warden, I don't believe that I have to. We'll see. Siddiqui indicated the overhead consoles where whole lists of newly formatted data were streaming live throughout the galaxy. As always, bookmakers and casino bosses have the standard 5-minute window to evaluate the odds. We'll see what they think of the match in the offward gambling combines. She watched the display showed bets, millions of credits pouring in on either side. Looked like most of them agree with your assessment. And you? The Mune asked. How will you, the esteemed facilitators of Coghive 7, be betting? We bet what the algorithm tells us. Always? Without fail. And the algorithm is never wrong? Slifer asked. Siddiqui turned to Dakrai. Her brother tapped in a series of commands and waited for the system to generate its verdict. You're right, she said. It's going to be no contest. So that ends our reading for tonight, but what do we all think that this creature could be? What is this crazy, giant, furry creature that Maul will fight? There we go. Any guesses? I'll let you guys guess, and then I'm pretty sure you guys will all get it tomorrow. Giant furry. Hey, mindless! Yeah, what is the giant furry critter that Darth Maul will be fighting? It's still vampire? Oh, I didn't change it on Twitch. I'll have to fix it. Hey, I only fixed my TikTok that it didn't say behind the scenes high noon until like last week. I'm not gonna tell. So come with your guesses tomorrow. We'll see what we get tomorrow. So I will be live tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I don't have I only have class once a week right now. And it's on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Which is a weird time. So, and look, I have my new paint. Can you tell? Can you guys see on camera that it's the purple-blue color shift? It's a Rancor? You think it's a Rancor? Rancor? Well, it did say hairy. Rancors aren't hairy. That is a weird time. Yeah, yeah. On the plus side, I got A's in my classes again. So I have now gone 2 semesters in a row. 12 credits worth of straight A's, which is pretty darn good in my opinion. For me, particularly. So, woo woo! Gotta keep up with the momentum. I'm trying. This class, so the last 3 classes, I'll admit, were super easy. It was, introduction to information technology. I mean, I do that every day, but, oh, thank you, Jimmy. So, like, the paint is, it's supposed to be iridescent. Is this the one? No, it's this one. So this is the paint that my Mandalorian armor is gonna be. Yeah, it did include some of the history of IT, which was, some of it's fun to like take the class, because I do like learning about the history of IT, like Admiral Grace Hopper and all that. On the other hand, like, because I've worked in my career for as long as I've worked in my career, I know that there is no reason to learn about ENIAC or UNIVAC. Like, they're not used, okay? They're not, and nothing even close to their original design is used. So, learning about the history of IT is kind of dumb, in the sense that, like, I know it will not help me in any way, shape, or form in my career. Admiral Hopper coined the term bug. I know she did! Admiral Hopper is my hero. If you're like, what's your favorite historical figure, or who's your historical figure hero? I have 2. Admiral Grace Hopper. She coined the term bug. She's basically the mother of modern computing. She was told that computers would only ever be giant calculators, and she said bet, and she helped bring computers into what they are today. Also, she was hysterically funny. Like, if I encourage you, if you ever get a chance, go look at Admiral Grace Hopper being interviewed on the Johnny Carson show in the 80s. She was just, I love her. She is a hero. So Admiral Grace Hopper, and Saint Olga of Kiev. Saint Olga of Kiev is my other hero. If you don't know who Saint Olga of Kiev is, hi B-boy. Saint Olga of Kiev is a patron saint. She was married to the king. And this other nation came in and killed unalived her husband, the king. Now, the king of this other nation wanted to marry Saint Olga, And Olga was like, okay, cool. Send a boat of your absolute best men, and I will get on the boat, and I will go with them. And so this king of this other nation was like, of course I will. And so he sends a boat of his best men to St. Olga of Kiev, to Olga. And when these men get on the boat, Olga is like, no, let me honor you. You stay on your boat. My people will carry your boat up to me in my palace. And the guys on the boat were like, sure. And so her people picked up the boat that these best men of the Southern Nation were and threw it off a cliff. Right? She's like, no, you're not gonna take me. Took this boat full of the best men, chucked it off a cliff. So that's number one. So then this king from the Southern Nation goes, hey, why haven't you come to me yet? What's up? Where are the best men that I sent on my ship? And she's like, oh no, they never got here. Oops. That's okay. Send me more of your best soldiers. Just don't send them on a boat this time. I don't know. Maybe the boat just like got eaten by a sea monster. I'm not sure. So this other king sends more of his soldiers. And St. Olga goes, oh, you guys must be tired and need a chance to relax. Go in this bathhouse. Have a chill sesh. And they're like, cool. And so they all go in the bathhouse. And then she locks them in the bathhouse and sets the bathhouse on fire. And unalives more soldiers. And then of course, yes. So that, yeah, she's is pretty brutal. And then then a third time, the king is like, why aren't you here yet? Be here. What's going on? Like, I conquered your nation. I killed your husband. You're supposed to belong to me now. Get here. And she goes, okay, tell you what, you send me a present. Send me one big present, one big last present, and then I will come to see you with bells on. And he goes, what do you want? And she said, I want a pigeon from every household in the capital city. And so he goes, and every single pigeon, every single household in the capital city of the Southern Nation gives the king a pigeon, and he sends it to Olga. And then Olga ties pieces of burning sulfur to every single bird. Now, pigeons, what do? They go home when you let them go, right? Homing pigeons? They're homing pigeons, basically. So she tied burning pieces of sulfur to all of these pigeons, who then went home to roost and burned the other city to the ground. And she did not have to marry the other king. So, St. Olga of Kiev and Admiral Grace Hopper are my two heroes because they are just two very badass women. Like, Grace Hopper, the things with, like, Grace Hopper and the reason why she is my hero is because she is one of, I mean, there are the Hidden Figures women who did so much for modern computing as well. They're basically the reason that we went to space. But Admiral Hopper is even before that. So Admiral Hopper was in the 40s working with computers, ENIAC, UNIVAC, working for the military. The thing is, she's a woman in STEM before women were even really allowed in STEM. And so, like, that's part of the reason why Grace Hopper is so important to me is she was a pioneer for girls and women like me to be able to do what I do now. Like, 1940s, it was unheard of to have women working in the sciences. Like, that was in the 40s. I mean, that was just totally unheard of. And so, like, to think how far we've come where, like, I'm a cybersecurity analyst. I work every day to make sure that millions of people's data stays secure. This is not something that was possible for women to do, not necessarily not possible, but very challenging to get into the industry, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So, oh, have a good night, Omni. Come see us tomorrow. 80 years ago at this point. So that's one of the reasons why. And she basically developed programming. She developed Cobalt, for all intents and purposes. So it's just I love Grace Hopper, and like I said, she is very funny to watch. Like I said, if you ever get a chance, go and watch her when she was interviewed on Johnny Carson. That woman after my own heart, man. I love Grace Hopper. And yeah, and St. Olga of Kiev, she's just badass. Like, she's like, oh no, your guys didn't show up, send more. Oh, send me pigeons that I can tie burning pieces of sulfur to burn your city to the ground without ever sending a single soldier. Not that it's right to kill all the innocents. That's wrong. But still, pretty smart to do what she did. So yeah, I love St. Olga. But yeah. Anyway. Oh, Mindless, if you're still here. So, side note, apparently people like my idea of doing a campaign where we're all toys. And I've decided that every single session will be a different board game, and all the NPCs will be named after medications. Just as a side note. Are you want to play? I don't know who else is gonna play, but we gotta if I can get enough people that are interested, then I've got to figure out how to stream it. I guess somebody's gonna have to teach me how to. Yeah, it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. I think we'd have a lot of fun with it, and I've already come up with some of the board games that we'd use. But there's so much that goes into this kind of planning session. And I hate DMing. I like to play. Like I said, I want to see... I gotta play around with a storyline idea. I was thinking about toys being lost in a Costco. I do a lot. And that's where I'm like, DMing sounds like a lot. You don't know it? Oh, don't I know it? Yeah. That's dangerous for everyone. Yeah. I do a lot. So that's where, like I'm saying, I'm thinking this would be like a if we can't run our normal D&D campaign, like this will be little one-shots that we do so that we can still play. Or something like that, or when we take breaks, because I know we get like session breaks and stuff like that. I don't know. Would I use AI? Maybe a little. I'll admit I would probably use a little of it to help with like formatting and organizing my thoughts in a way. But would I have AI write it? No. I do occasionally use AI for things. I will admit it. I know that it's killing the environment, and I try to use it very sparingly, but sometimes there are just no other ways around it, and I have to use it for work. I am all but forced to using an LLM at my job. Like they are cramming it down our throats that we have to use our proprietary version of ChatGPT. No, you didn't mistype it. I just misread it. So, yeah, that's the I am forced to use it, much to my chagrin. Yeah, they were even like, they created a special tool to help us write our annual goals this year that they were very gotta use it. So I don't know, we'll see. You AI forward software company. So does my brother. You aren't secretly my brother, are you? Nah, you couldn't possibly be my brother. My brother does not use social media. My brother's not, and he uses the internet. My brother uses the internet because he has to live in the modern age, but he would much rather live in a cabin in the woods. Which is funny because my brother is a programmer. But he would much rather live in a cabin in the woods. So, anyway, I think I am gonna head to bed because I am still getting over this cold and I am tired. Mini Mando had her little expo today, so that her school, it's a STEM school, and so they're required to like do these presentations once a year. This huge like presentation thing. Like every single student in the school has to do a presentation. And like members from the state legislature come out, and the mayor, and like all these people that they're trying to like gain funding from because it's a charter school, not a public school. They come out and do all these things. So I had to do that tonight with Mini Mando, which was super fun because Mini Mando, if I don't often have my children on here, if you want to know what Mini Mando looks like, Mini Mando looks exactly like me, just a slightly different hair color. Mini Mando is she looks exactly like me, she just has strawberry blonde hair instead of red hair. That's really, really what it is. But one of her little friends, I went over to their little presentation, I was watching it and listening to them, and then she walks up to him, she goes, "Do you know a little girl named Mini Mando?" And I went, yeah, why? Or she goes, "Do you know a little girl named Mini Mando?" And I hadn't quite answered yet, and then she goes, "'Cause you look exactly like her." And I was like, yeah, there's a reason for that. She's my kid. It was so cute. So, anyway, I'm tired from that as well. So, have a good night, everybody. I will see you guys all tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will read more of Maul, Lockdown. Stay safe out there. Make good choices. I love ya. Mwah. And I love you guys too on Twitch and the two of you.